First, let's start with this case. So, my wife is my son's stepmom. Her preferred method of traveling is without him. I won't get started on my thoughts about that. My birthday is middle of Jan, and hers is 5 days later. Last November, she decided she wanted to go on a trip for her birthday. Conveniently, it was for our birthdays, even though I went in support to what she wanted to do, and we traveled all day on my birthday. When she brought up the trip in the beginning, I mentioned my son going and that he would be really interested. She gave 100 reasons for him to not go and asked if I still wanted to take him. Yeah. She flipped out. Said if he comes, she wants to go to Hawaii for 3 weeks without him. I tossed it back at her and said if he doesn't come, can we do a family vacation for 3 weeks to Hawaii with him? Yeah, didn't go over well. Well, we got home and she came up with the idea of going on a trip with him, OMG, for spring break. Blew my mind. It was also interesting how quickly she wanted to go on vacation when her trip cost 3 times as much as we had expected. So today, I had shots in my shoulder because of some severe pain. One side effect is it makes it hard to sleep. Had a shot Monday and Tuesday, and woke up at 4, and today I woke up at 5. I've also been sleeping on the couch because it's more comfortable with my shoulder. So tonight, I had been sleeping, and at midnight, she scared me really bad because she just plopped down next to me. I jumped and opened my eyes, and her face was a foot away staring right at me. I was like, "Fine hop sent! You scared me!" She said she didn't mean to, and went straight into talking about a hotel she found and how much it is per night, blah blah blah. She asks what I thought, and being super tired and my heart pounding still, all I could think of was I was sleeping. She jumped up, stomped off, swearing at me, yelling about how she'll never want to do a family vacation again. Now I'm lying here wide awake wondering, am I in the wrong? Let's start judging. Quick question. Why are you married to someone who blatantly dislikes and excludes your child? How old is this kid? I find it interesting that you omitted that. You're in the wrong. You're in the wrong. You're in the wrong. And so is she. You're in the wrong for entering and remaining in a relationship with someone who actively excludes your child and clearly doesn't care for or about him. Instead of worrying about waking up, worry about being a decent parent. Your partner doesn't like your son, and she's showing it to your face, and you don't seem to be fazed about it. Your wife wants to exclude your son on your birthday and provided 100 reasons on why he shouldn't go. How is this behavior okay? Why is she still your wife? The trip is for 3 weeks. What next? Is she going to find a boarding school for him? She chose a weird time to come to you about finding cheap accommodation for a family vacation, probably knowing how you'd react, and manipulated the situation so that she can be mad about her plans being ruined. She didn't seem concerned at all about physically harming you. She wants to spend lavish money on a trip for just you and her, but wants to cheap out on a family vacation. OP, why are you still with this woman? You're in the wrong. Edit. I took a peek at your post history, and one of your posts has said that your wife has been critical of your son, from the way he behaves in public to how he walks in his own home. You even commented that your wife's family have stated that she needs therapy, but she hasn't gone. Again, why are you with this woman when her own family can't tolerate her? Next up, so I-16M was at swim practice earlier today, 6:30 to 8:30, and this is one of my first practices back after my dad passed in early December. Anyways, I come in and get changed as usual, and then I get showered and head out to the pool deck. Keep in mind, I have gained a bit of weight since the last time they have seen me, and I'm quite out of shape and struggling to keep up when we start the practice. My coach says welcome back and hugs me and stuff, and he basically catches me up on everything that's happened, what I've missed, etc. Then we start the warm-up. It was quite difficult for me as I haven't swam in almost 2 months. To begin the warm-up, we had to dive off the blocks. My dive was really slow and sloppy as I haven't practiced for a while. We get out of the water for the coach to explain the main set, and the coach's assistant, I think she's 38F, but IDK for sure, says it's a pity your dad couldn't have died a little later to save you from this practice. And she starts laughing, and I'm fuming at this point. I tell her to PO and to not talk about things like that, and I left early. My mom has called the coach and told him that what was said today was unacceptable, and that she thinks it's disgusting that an adult who I should view as an authority figure to trust and look up to would say such things. Let's start judging. You're not in the wrong. OP, my jaw is on the freaking floor. No adult should say that to a kid, especially when that adult is in a position of authority. Heck, adults shouldn't even be speaking that way to other adults. That was cruel and heartless, and she should immediately be removed from her position. She has no business working with kids. I'm so sorry for your loss. I hope this person doesn't ruin swimming for you. It seems like it's something you're passionate about, and you should hold on as tightly to that as you can. You're not in the wrong. That assistant coach needs to learn some empathy, sensitivity, and be off coaching until they do. However, at 38, it's probably not going to happen. Sacking them should happen, though. OP, I'm so sorry you lost your father so young. That sucks. I lost my mother at 19. It's hard, and it will take a lot of time to process the grief. Your assistant coach deserves to lose their position for that nasty comment. You're not in the wrong. She should be fired for saying that. I'm sorry for your loss, OP. I think it's commendable that you've gone back to practice, and I hope you remember to have compassion towards yourself while you navigate life after loss. Your mom is epic for chewing your coach out. Next up, my family is visiting and staying at my house. I keep a box with a few $100s in it in my room, just in case I need cash. My niece did a chore for me, so I went to my box so I could give her a small reward. However, when I went to get it, my box was empty. I panicked because I knew I hadn't taken anything out, let alone all $300. I asked my brother about it, and he got offended. I would even imply that his family would steal from me. I told him to at least ask his kids about it, but he refused. I ended up asking them myself, and my 14-year-old nephew told me he had taken it. I asked for it back, but he said that he had taken it 2 days before and had already spent it. I told him to give me what he bought then, but he refused. His dad blew up at me and told me I have no right to talk like that to his child. And I told him to tell his kid to give me the thing he bought or to pay me back, but he refused as well. I told him that I would bring this to the police, and he just laughed and said it was only $300, and it wasn't worth the trouble. I told him if it was only $300, then he could pay me back. But he said no. I did go to the police with it, and I gave them the information they needed, and it was actually surprisingly easy. My family lives in the same city as me, so the police came pretty fast, and now my entire family is furious at me for potentially ruining my nephew's life over such a small thing. I think it's the principle of it that matters, and everyone in my family is better off than me as well. But an outside opinion would be nice. Am I being an idiot doing this? Let's start judging. You're not in the wrong. Your nephew is the idiot, and judging by his father's reaction, it's not hard to see where he gets it from. Edit. OP. In response to your edit regarding your question as to whether you should drop the charges if you get paid back, that's up to you. In your place, I would consider it only if your nephew and your brother offered sincere apologies, meaning that they both acknowledged that what they did was wrong and why. However, based on their vast sense of entitlement, I don't see that happening. Your nephew not only stole from you, but basically scoffed at you when you demanded your money back. He refused to give you the item that he used your money for. That's some level 12 sense of entitlement on a dial that only goes up to level 10. And as I said, it's not hard to see where he gets it from. His dad refused to punish his son and refused to make restitution. With this in mind, it looks to me like, based on the criteria I would use, you will not be dropping the charges. Your nephew feels that he's entitled to steal from you and is brazen enough to admit doing it. This is not a kid who feels remorse. Since he's apparently lacking in empathy, his best chance of becoming a decent human being is to show him that actions have consequences. You're not in the wrong. Actions have consequences. Your brother should have paid you back. He laughed it off. He is idiot for teaching his kid that you can steal and get away with it. The kid is a minor. Tell your brother to pay you back, and if when the case goes to trial, you can let the judge know that restitution was made. You're not in the wrong, but I wonder if he actually took it or is actually the one covering for his dad. I find it strange his dad wouldn't make him give up what he bought with stolen money. Either way, your nephew isn't learning anything good from his dad. Next. So basically, at a family barbecue last weekend, my uncle, mid-50s, kept making creepy comments about my girlfriend Kate, 21F, who I invited. At first, it was backhanded compliments like, "Wow, you're way too pretty for him," but then it got worse. "I would have snatched you up back in the day," and "must be a struggle to compromise for me." He even joked about how my girlfriend must get hit on all the time and how I should keep an eye on her. On top of that, he was being way too touchy, putting his hand on her lower back, touching her arm when he laughed, and even leaning in way too close while talking to her. My girlfriend was clearly uncomfortable, but tried to brush it off. She told me privately that it made her uncomfortable. I confronted him in front of everyone, straight up calling him a creep and telling him to knock it off in a loud way. He got defensive, saying he was just joking, and my mom told me I was out of line for embarrassing him like that. Some family members agreed with me, but others think I overreacted and should have handled it privately, since everyone knows him as a joker and just loves making conversation, which he is good at. Some male cousins of mine are insinuating I was jealous and exaggerating stuff because my uncle talked to their partners too, and they didn't have any complaints like Kate. My uncle said he was just making jokes, and he didn't mean any of them, and he is really disappointed that I looked at him as that kind of guy. Am I in the wrong for calling him out publicly instead of pulling him aside? Let's start judging. You're not in the wrong. What always amazes me about situations like this is that people are so quick to pounce on the person who's standing up for someone who's trapped in an uncomfortable situation. Your uncle was the one who was being inappropriate, and you, quite appropriately, put a stop to his behavior to protect your girlfriend. What your uncle, and everyone else, failed to realize is that there was a power imbalance here. Your GF was the new girl at a family gathering, meaning she probably felt obligated to be agreeable in order to be accepted by the group. She felt uncomfortable, but was too scared to stop the behavior. She was at a disadvantage, and your uncle took advantage of the situation, knowingly or unknowingly. You're not in the wrong. Your uncle sounds like an unbelievable creep and idiot. He got defensive because you called him out on his nonsense. I bet he is the type that calls women hysterical when they show even slightest disapproval for his bad behavior.